Before I move on from the metals, from gold specifically, I will say, just throwing it out there, because as a trader, I always think in terms of probabilities. So I do want to say, is there a probability, is there a chance that this is the 7-year cycle high? From a pure price action perspective, I'm not talking about cycle duration. So I'm not thinking here, well, the last low is in 2023. And so if I add, sorry, it's not 2023, it's 2022. There you go. It's 2022. So the last low is in 2022. This cycle, the 7-year cycle, I don't have time to show you here. I don't want to waste time on this. Just watch lesson 5, those of you who can. And before the end of the year, you can probably find it on YouTube. Also re-edited, new sections added, maybe, probably. The 7-year cycle in gold is very regular. It is, that's why it's why I love trading gold, because these cycles are very, very regular. It's not like Bitcoin's 4-year cycle that can be off for a few months. This one is pretty much always on time. And so if the last low for this 7-year cycle is in October of 2022, you would expect to see the next low sometime in 2029. Pretty much that's what you would expect. That being said, I will say that going parabolic like this, that typically happens at the end of a 7-year cycle, not halfway through it. So this type of price action is indicative. It's what you would expect at the end of a 7 and 15-year cycle. It's what we saw back in 2011. That's what ended the 15-year cycle that started all the way back in 2001 to 1999. So I will say there's a probability here. This is not my base case. I would say there's maybe a 20% chance that this is actually the 7-year high, just based on price action, just based on hype, just based on how much it went up. Not my base case for a couple of reasons, primarily timing. This cycle is very regular, and this is too early for this high to be taking place right now. So that's the number one reason. Number two, the second reason is all the accumulation we're seeing from nations like China and the BRICS buying gold, trying to replace the dollar. And I don't think they want to replace the dollar with their own currencies because they have zero credibility. Like, you can hate the dollar as much as you want. All these other currencies, virtually all of them, they're far worse than the dollar. So no one is going to take the yuan or the Brazilian real, or I don't know what currency they're using, and I don't know, like the Indian rupee. None of these currencies have a snowball's chance in hell of competing against the dollar. That's not what China, because I think the BRICS is just China and friends. The Chinese are smart. They don't want to introduce the yuan. Actually, they don't want that because they have capital controls in China. They don't want to get rid of those because they like to manage their currency. And if you want a global reserve currency, it needs to be a free floating currency. The dollar is created by banks all over the world. I can go to my home country in Uruguay and take up a dollar loan. I can borrow dollars in Uruguay. And this is a feature, not a bug, of the US dollar. So suffice to say, none of these fiat currencies have any chance of competing against the dollar. What they're trying to do is introduce a neutral reserve asset. And a lot of crypto people are saying it's got to be Bitcoin. It's not going to be Bitcoin because Bitcoin's too small. Bitcoin's about $2 trillion in market capitalization. That's just too small. Also, the dollar, for all I know, it works just fine as a medium of exchange. The problem is the debasement. The problem is the constant money printing. But money is technology also. It is a piece of technology. And the dollar infrastructure is second to none in the world. SWIFT, I mean, all these dollar payment mechanisms. And the fact that the United States is pretty free, it is losing its freedom now a little bit. The dollar is. They're confiscating Russia's dollar reserves and all of that stuff. That's not good. But it remains the freer or the freest currency in the world today. It's not going to get replaced as a medium of exchange. It's going to get replaced as a store of value. And that's why people are buying gold. That's why countries are buying gold. I don't see that going away. And because I don't see that going away, I don't think gold has stopped out yet. In fact, I think that this 15-year cycle ends with gold being reintroduced formally into the monetary system, maybe as a settlement currency, like countries settle their accounts by moving bullion to one another. China is trying to establish themselves as the center of world gold trading. Gold is playing a role in the monetary system here. So for that reason, I don't think it's stopped out yet. So I don't think this is anything other than an 18-month cycle top, because I think that it just got ahead of itself. That's all. It just got ahead of itself. And most of this move between September and October is mostly headlines and hype. It's not fundamental. We're getting away from trend. And now we're just pulling back toward the trend, the natural uptrend that this market is enjoying probably for the rest of this decade.